Hey everyone, this is a clip from a recent episode of Another Pass, where we talk about movies and all the struggles that go into making them. If you like it, check out the whole podcast. You can find it at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts. I think that there's an interpretation of this movie with like the tier of Caesar, like the statue of Caesar at the end, that humanity and ape are going to split apart eventually, and that things will go to the planet of the apes, and that we are in a fixed loop of time travel. But again, if you allow for a headcanon where the Andy Serkis movies are setting up the original timeline that creates it, that it's not a fixed loop, like, is this a scenario where Caesar, by way of actually having foreknowledge of the future, has established a society that will break away from that cycle of oppression and slavery and so forth? Like there is the chance at the end, because we see a future, not the far future, but we see a point where humanity is still at peace with ape. And I like where like when you watch this movie, do you feel like we are doomed to get to the point where Charlton Heston as Taylor is going to destroy the world?
I think it's interesting that you saw the tier that way, because I kind of saw it as one tier of joy for like a reality where his dream was partially realized, where people are there, or people in apes are standing there listening to lore. And it's interesting that you went, does this mean it'll all be doomed?
Well, that's actually the thing. I didn't take it that way, but the production staff has said that that's what it was supposed to mean. And I was like, oh, that's not how I read that.
Oh, interesting. See, I read that it does not break the wheel, and I think Virgil's lines about time travel at the beginning, about because he suggests the bootstrap paradox, right? Where he's like, if you play something in one city, travel back in time to hear it in another city, which I don't know why they needed to add that part in. I guess it was for the distance of the equation, but like it didn't matter. But yeah, if you hear yourself play it, decide you didn't like it, and then don't play, how did you hear yourself play it in the first place? I think that is a line in the movie to suggest the movie believes that this is not something that can be changed. Like it has to happen that way to allow for Heston to make it around the loop. At this point, because they don't know about the future movies, for Heston to be able to make it around the loop, they're just suggesting that, like, unless the bad shit happens, we don't get to the point where we can loop things back around and try over again. I guess that's my read based, because he's a good character relaying it, and he's never wrong in the movie. So I think the movie is suggesting we have to take it seriously.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I personally agree with that read based on the content of the film, but if the film is insisting that this all will go to shit eventually anyways, then I will just accept that.
Yeah, I feel like although the production team may have felt that, I don't feel that the end that they gave us fully implies that. I don't think that the tier is enough to imply that, and I think that, like all good art, it's really up to your interpretation. So I'm going to choose that it broke the time wheel and that everyone is happy now, at least in that little sliver of time, because the thing is that even if you change time, it's only true
right
where you changed it.
In your
it's still
timeline.
It's the timelines are not gonna be here. We are having a really deep conversation, Planet Apes and timelines, but let's just say it, like, the timelines, it's only gonna be that way. And maybe the tier, you could interpret the tier then like it's a tier for the other timelines. It's the tier for unrealized dreams. The tier can symbolize a multitude of things. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like my positive read, and I'm keeping it. It broke the gorsh-darn wheel.
Remember, if you like that clip, check out the podcast. You can find it at certainpov.com